Part 20. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 191. Chapter 191 Night's Only Revenge. Limo or he whispered the name softly. Ye Wei stood at the entrance of the corridor, staring indifferently at Limo's leaving figure, with his slightly clenched fingers raised to his cheeks. Brother said, "No one can bully me." She remembered the slap. After meeting Limo, all the students were curious about Ye Wei's identity, and the obvious slap on his face made people even more imaginative. Ye Zi remained silent from beginning to end and did not mention the luxury car incident. After school in the afternoon, Ye Wei returned to Xinjiao Academy for the first time. When she appeared in the Xinjiao Academy wearing the long-sleeved and long trousers uniform from No. 2 middle school, she knew that her outfit was incompatible with this kind of school. The students in the junior high school have one less class than the high school. When the well-dressed female students or the handsome male students appear one after another, it is strange to catch a glimpse of Ye Wei standing at the door. Ye Wei has no hair tied up, and her long hair is spread around her cheeks to cover her round face. The iconic bell on her hand has also disappeared. Naturally, no one associates her with the once famous figure Ye Wei. Ye Wei realized that meeting Yezikin like this might cause unnecessary trouble. He grabbed his school bag and ran to the nearest clothing store, quickly choosing a suit of clothes of the right size. While she was standing in front of the mirror tidying up, some voices directed at her suddenly came out of her ears. "Hey, look, that one is really Ye Wei, I said I didn't admit my mistake." Ye Wei was known to everyone in the Xinjiao Academy. She disappeared after dropping out of school, and now she suddenly appears again. What happened? I heard some rumors before. It is said that Ye Wei was not the real daughter of the Ye family, so she was kicked out. Gossip is truly pervasive and ubiquitous in this world. Ye Wei quickly returned to the school gate and met Limo face to face with the Xinjiao school batch. When the two of them looked at each other for the first time, there were sparks and lightning. Limo saw the traces of the slap on Ye Wei's face that had not completely disappeared. He chuckled and said something to the two people next to him, then walked up to Ye Wei alone. Limo deliberately made a surprised expression. "Yi? Why are you here?" I have to say that Limo disguises himself very well in front of others, and only when he is behind the scenes will he reveal his face. But if it is said to be weaker, then Ye Wei is truly a master. She tugged on the skull bag chain, pursed her lips slightly, and her face became a little cautious. "Mo. Moer." Limo suddenly felt happy when he saw her flashing expression, thinking that Ye Wei was frightened by the slap she slapped when she was angry today. She deliberately blocked Ye's only way out and asked, "What's wrong with you? Is there something wrong?" Ye Wei shook his head. No. How is that possible? You suddenly appeared at Xinjiao Academy. There must be something wrong. Please tell me and see if I can help you. I'm here to see my brother. I want to wait for him to finish class." "You're looking for Brother Chen, isn't that bad?" Why? "I just want to see my brother, can't I?" She was so weak that she couldn't argue with others, and her hopeful eyes and expressions confused the onlookers. People have a characteristic that they tend to envy the strong and pity the weak. Ever since Limo entered school, she has become the object of hatred in everyone's eyes. So, the onlookers' hearts were biased towards Ye Wei. Some people quickly took photos and sent them to the school forum. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 192. Chapter 192 Defend one's shortcomings in front of the whole school. Limo, who didn't want Ye to meet Yezikin, took another step closer to Ye and threatened in her ear, "Don't go to him." Ye Wei took several steps back as if frightened, staggering, and almost falling. "I'm sorry, I'm leaving now." She raised her moist eyes, looking like she was wronged but didn't dare to say anything, which aroused the sympathy of the onlookers. Li Moer was still immersed in the joy of victory, and when he saw Ye Weiwei's consent, he could barely smile. Brother Chen is very busy. Even if you wait here all the time, you may not see him. Ah, dash. A thin scream passed through everyone's ears, and there was a buzzing sound in their ears. The protagonist they were talking about suddenly appeared. He pushed Li Moer away from Ye Weiwei without mercy and grabbed Ye Weiwei's wrist. All movements were as smooth as flowing clouds and flowing water, and the final scene was fixed on Yezikin's handsome and tall figure covering the petite Ye Wei, holding her hand steadily. Li Moer, who was pushed hard, held down her throbbing arm and felt at a loss when Yezikin appeared. It should be the last class of the high school class in the afternoon. Why did he suddenly appear at the school gate? Li Moer didn't know that her meeting with Ye Wei was posted on the school forum, so she naturally guessed that Ye Wei deliberately set up a trap to make her look embarrassed in front of Yezikin. Li Moer wanted to question Ye Wei, but he was concerned about the image of himself as slender, weak and considerate in front of others, so he held back. Li Moer frowned, and the aggrieved look on his face was exactly the same as Ye Weiwei's previous expression. Brother Chen, why are you here? However, Yezikin glanced at her coldly, and his voice was even colder. She wants to see me, does she need you to remind her? Passers-by raised their mobile phones one after another. What a drama! Others stared at Ye Weiwei for so long and couldn't find any clues. However, Yezikin's first glance at her carefully focused on the vague red finger marks on her face. What's wrong with your face? As soon as he heard this, Ye Weiwei glanced at Li Moer even though his eyes were averted. This glance happened to be caught by Yezikin, who was extremely insightful. Ye Weiwei grabbed Yezikin's sleeves and begged in the voice of only two people, brother, let's go back first, okay. Yezikin glanced at the people and objects in his sight, took Ye Weiwei's hand and left the college. Li Moer squeezed her hands helplessly, no one sympathized even though tears were streaming down her face. Some people in the crowd deliberately set the pace, this substitute is a substitute. As soon as the real owner appears, everything must be stepped aside. Yezikin is still the doting sister as before. As expected, she is still dear to her, so don't pretend to be in the position. At first, Ye Weiwei was the most jealous person in the school, so one can imagine how much Yezikin dotes on her. However, from the moment Li Moer came to Xinjiao Academy, they regarded her as an act of backstabbing without getting any response, and she became the target of their ridicule. You guys, Li Moer seemed to be unable to bear the ridicule and left sadly. Ye Zi, who had not gone far, heard those chaotic sounds, with a smile in his eyes. At this moment, Yezikin's calm voice suddenly sounded in my ears, it seems that you can take revenge yourself. I'm nervous. Brother Chen, do you want to expose the little bell? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 193. Chapter 193. The wife-protecting maniac is online. It seems that you can take revenge yourself. Yezikin's words suddenly startled Ye Wei. He raised his eyes and looked at Yezikin. His eyes were quiet, without any emotion or anger. Brother Chen, what are you talking about? Ye Wei decided to pretend not to know. Only she knows the turbulence in her heart. She was so carried away that she couldn't hold back just because she saw Li Moer make a fool of herself, and she actually forgot what a powerful person Yezikin was. Even though she knew Yezikin, she couldn't compete with him. If she wasn't careful, she would be discovered. But absolutely must not let Yezikin find out. Ye Weiwei grabbed Yezikin's sleeve and shook it, pursed his lips and said, brother, Lemur came to school to see me today. Yezikin suddenly answered, so, the marks on her face are indeed related to her. Ye Wei did not expect that Yezikin was most concerned about her face. She slowly reached out and touched the cheek that had been slapped. Perhaps it was because Lemur's hand was too heavy, causing her to feel the slightest bit of pain when she touched her cheek. Ye Wei told the truth, I didn't pay attention and didn't avoid her slap. Cold fingers suddenly touched her cheeks with red marks, and she could even feel them trembling slightly. Immediately afterwards, I heard his deep voice coming into my ears, does it still hurt? No. Yes, it hurts a little, she started to stutter again. Every time Yezikin deliberately lowered his voice to talk to her, she would become helpless and even stammered in her answers. Facing Yezikin's repeated questions, Ye Wei answered clearly word for word, with no intention of lying in his mind. Yezikin asked, did you fight back? No, no. Are the things I asked you to learn from surely all fake? Ye Wei was stunned again and again. She was taken to a nearby pharmacy. Yezikin bought some medicine and applied it carefully with a medical cotton swab. Yes, only gaze was glued to Yezikin's face almost the whole time. Feeling the cotton swab slide gently on the cheek, over and over again, Ye Wei wanted to move but was afraid. The slight expression on her face changed again and again. After struggling for a long time, she suddenly held Yezikin's raised arm and said, actually, it doesn't hurt anymore, and there is no need for medicine. Yezikin stared at her and called her in a toneless voice, take your hands away. Ye Wei finally noticed something was wrong and asked tentatively, Brother Chen, are you angry? Yezikin glanced at her and asked, what do you think? If you don't know that Yezikin is angry now, you are a fool. She immediately bowed her head and admitted her mistake, and followed Yezikin's thoughts and apologized, I'm sorry, I will pay attention next time. If she bullies me again, I will use the skills taught by Master Shirley to fight back. But Yezikin said, are you still thinking about being beaten next time? Ye Wei waved his hands in a hurry, no, 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 I mean, yes, haha. Just when Ye Wei was stammering and unable to explain clearly, he was suddenly pulled into Yezikin's arms. Pushing into Yezikin's warm chest, she heard the strong heartbeat coming from her heart. His promise suddenly rang in my ears, I will not let go of anyone who bullies you. What if I bully others? I couldn't help but ask such a question. But there were words of indulgence that hit her heart unexpectedly, as long as you don't behave well, it doesn't matter what you do. Is it okay if I let you leave? Thanks to Co. Limited and Girl's heroic dream for the reward. In fact, Brother Chen and Xiao Lingdang are each other's idiots, but Xiao Lingdang wants Brother Chen's future, ahem, you understand. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 194. Chapter 194 As you wish, I leave. Is it okay if I let you leave? I didn't know how she said this, she just felt like she was being held in her arms, and even the air became thinner. Brother is such an outstanding person. He should be looked up to. If he can become better, then go ahead. Her hand that was holding Yezikin's coat slowly loosened her grip little by little. Open. Originally it was tacit, but now it's clear. Lemur told you. Well, she came to me today just to tell me about your refusal to be escorted. So you were influenced by her. No, Ye Wei shook her head and denied it. Lemur was not going to take the blame because she thought that way. Actually, I figured it out a long time ago. Although I feel reluctant to let go of my brother will eventually leave, so I would rather, you become a better person. Yezikin suddenly pressed his hand and put his chin on her forehead, saying in a heavy voice, are you willing to give up? Ye Wei broke away from his embrace. When the two faced each other, the corners of their mouths curled slightly. There was sadness and reluctance that could not be concealed in his eyes, but he was not forced. I'm reluctant to leave, but I'm ready. She had indeed been prepared for the day when he left. Brother Chen, do you think you are the only one who is possessive? In fact, no, you don't even know how selfish I am. You don't even know how possessive the little belle that you thought was a well-behaved and obedient person is. Even so strong that it scares her. Maybe one day she won't be able to control her possessiveness, which is so strong that it becomes perverted. Then she will lose all sense. So, now, she could still raise a smile and pretend to be relaxed and said to him, 4 or 5 years of college, or even longer, when you come back, the little belle will have grown up. At that time, she had just reached adulthood. Yezikin held her slender and soft fingers close to his lips, and the warm heat spread through them, making his breathing sound so clear. Aren't you afraid that after I leave, I won't wait for you to grow up? A shallow smile froze on Yewi's face. She bit her lower lip, but still did not admit defeat. That's okay, anyway, the little belle will have grown up by then, and I will go find you then. They were 4 years apart in school age. At that time, whether Yezikin returned to China or stayed there, she could choose to go to his city. She will also choose the same major as Yezikin. Not only because of Yezikin, but also because the best way she can think of at the moment is to choose which major to enter the mall and find the truth about that year. This is the best way. She is still a child, but she has to force herself to grow up quickly. So, you have imagined everything? I didn't expect it. Yezikin fiddled with her long hair, his movements were slow and his mood was very calm. With a hint of casualness in his tone, Yewi emphasized, Brother Chen, everything I said is true. Yet he responded softly and said in a deep voice, you know very well that I will not refuse you. Yezikin's pair of deep black eyes stared at her quietly, as if a bottomless black hole sucked her into it. Yewi lowered his eyes, as if his heart was stabbed by a thorn. Obviously I have prepared myself and convinced myself. But why does my heart hurt so much? A familiar voice whispered in her ear, if you want me to accept the college's offer of admission, then, as you wish. Thanks to Yi Zioxi and Baikan North Deep Sea Sleepless for the reward. Regarding Yezikin's promise to Xiao Lingdang to leave, well, you can make up your mind about the plot to see if he will leave. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 195. Chapter 195 promised to be recommended by the school. 3 days later, Yewi received a call from Gongqin Li. The first sentence he spoke was an ear-splitting voice, only, Brother Chen has accepted the recommendation from Xinjiao student. Dang, the glass fell to the ground and broke. What's the sound? What happened to you? The sudden voice startled Gongqin Li on the other end of the phone, and she choked back what she had not finished speaking. Leaving the water heater, Yewi squatted down and picked up the pieces piece by piece, repeating the action absent-mindedly. It was indeed, as she wished. Perhaps she did it herself. She was obviously reluctant to let go, but she still pretended to be so righteous. I wasn't paying enough attention to the point where my finger was cut open by a fragment. I thought it was just a scratch on the skin, but red blood slowly oozed out from the wound. It was the pain that brought her back to her senses, and she heard Gongqin Li's anxious voice, Yi, are you still listening? Hey. Is something going on? Yewi grabbed the phone and apologized first, I'm sorry. I'm fine, I just accidentally broke the cup. But suddenly I heard Gongqin Li laughing loudly over there, haha, are you the only one who is too excited? Seeing the blood drops gradually emerging from his fingertips, Yewi frowned and responded casually, yes. We never expected that Brother Chen would turn down the opportunity to go abroad and choose a university with the best financial teaching in China. What? Yewi's heart beat uncontrollably at this moment. Didn't you hear it clearly? Then let me convey it again, that is. As Gongkin Li spoke the words, her vision became brighter, and the voice in her ears became softer, as if there was a brilliant fireworks in her mind. Blooming. Lu Li, thank you, I have something else to do and I'll hang up now, I'll talk to you later. Ye Weiwei quickly dialed another one she knew by heart. When she saw the display screen changed to call in progress at 01 seconds, she shouted loudly, Yezikin. There was silence on the other side for about 3 seconds. Ye Wei opened the closet, glanced from left to right, and asked eagerly, where are you? She finally heard a shallow sigh, and then what fell into her ears was an indescribably affectionate word, look back. Ye Weiwei paused in flipping her dress with her fingers, and also paused in holding up her cell phone. She turned her head, and that familiar figure came into view without warning. Seeing her stunned look, Yezikin rubbed her hair and sighed silently, how can I bear to leave you here alone? Ouch! Ye Wei cheered twice, no longer having to restrain the excitement sealed in his heart, he happily hugged Yezikin's waist and smiled silly. Are you really not leaving? Doesn't it matter if you can't learn the best things? As long as you want to learn, there is nothing you can't learn. It can be said that Yezikin is a very confident man. Such people have innate ability and charm. The only thing that makes Ye happy is that she likes the person in this game, and he also likes her. Ye Weiwei suddenly thought that he wanted to speed up and get closer to him, even if it was just one step. She thought about it and finally made a decision that was very difficult for her. Ye Weiwei raised his head and said, Brother Chen, let me skip a grade. Based on Xiao Lingdang's current academic performance, it is dangerous to skip the exam. Kixi was thinking, should she skip a grade or not? If you dance, it will be a 3-year contract. If you don't dance, you will be an adult in 4 years. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 196. Chapter 196 Li Moer is shameless. Poof. When Gongkin Li came to Ye Weiwei in the afternoon and heard that she was going to skip a grade, Mei Mei laughed out loud and said, you want to skip a grade? Ye Weiwei quickly covered her ears and said, keep your voice down. Oh my, forget it, I won't tell you. Gongkin Li shook her head and waved her hands, just not believing that Ye Weiwei could successfully skip the level. According to Ye Weiwei's current results, she would not be able to pass the grade skipping exam no matter what, but half a year would allow her to take the high school entrance exam. Lu Li, I'm telling you seriously, I've thought about it and just pass the grade skipping exam. I still have 3 years in high school to study hard and get into my brother's university. But it's difficult. It doesn't matter, I have to try it anyway. That afternoon, Ye Weiwei directly dragged Gongkin Li to the library to select information books. I think this is useful. This, I've seen recommendations online. And that one too. Ye Weiwei took one book after another from the bookshelf, and Gongkin Li followed beside him, so surprised that her jaw dropped. The only thing I have to skip a grade is to make up for all the knowledge from the second semester to the second semester of junior high school. After buying so many materials and studying them, when will I be able to finish them? When she saw that Ye Weiwei was still trying to get her feet, Gongkin Li quickly grabbed her arm, shook her head and persuaded, Yi, okay, it's already a lot. Ye Weiwei looked back at the selected book. The thickness. Okay, let's buy these for today. Yi compromised. When the two of them carried several books of information to the front desk and prepared to pay, suddenly 2 heavy books were thrown onto the table faster than them. The grumpy Gongkin Li frowned immediately. Ye Weiwei looked back and saw Li Moer standing diagonally behind them with a smile on her face. Li Moer raised his hand to greet them, what a coincidence, I can see you here too. Gongkin Li, who was straightforward, didn't care about her pretentiousness, and directly turned her face on her. What a coincidence, put your book away, don't stop us from paying. Lee Moore put on a weak posture and said, I'm sorry, this book is too heavy, so I just want to put it down first. Gong Kin Lee glared directly at him, first come, first served, do you understand? Snap dash. A book Lee Moore brought suddenly fell to the ground. At this moment, the only pile of books in my hand was placed firmly on the table. Gong Kin Lee and Lee Moore, who were quarreling, both looked at Yayoi, who apologized with an innocent expression on his face, I'm sorry, it was too heavy. I couldn't hold it, so I put it down. I accidentally dropped you, the book was knocked off. Gong Kin Lee covered her mouth and laughed. The book was a bit heavy, but to Gong Kin Lee, the gravity was nothing. However, she also pressed the book up like Ye Wei did, and knocked Lee Moore's other book to the ground, exaggerating. Yeah, apologize again. Lee Moore has something to say about his suffering. She knelt down and picked up the book. She pretended to be generous and shook her head at them and said, it's okay. I'm really sorry, Ye Wei added with a faint smile on his face. When others saw her like this, they couldn't tell whether she did it on purpose or not. Lee Moore had an expression of resentment on his face when he lowered his head to pick up the book. When he saw the English on the cover of the book, he raised his lips and smiled. She placed the book behind Ye Wei's pile of books. Yewei, you worked really hard to buy so much information. It's not like I have to improve my English now, lest it be embarrassing if I can't communicate proficiently after going abroad with Brother Chen. Next, let's invite our professional face-slapping contestant, Little Bell Children's Shoes. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 197. Chapter 197, Skipping the Grade Examination. The only thing you don't know yet is that Aunt Ye has already said that she wants me to go abroad with Brother Chen and accompany him. Lee Moore seemed to mention it inadvertently. Gong Kin Lee couldn't help but cover up her laughter. When she opened her mouth to retort to Lee Moore, Ye Wei's eyes told her to shut up. Ye Wei pushed a stack of information books in her hand to pay. Taking advantage of the opportunity to scan the code, she glanced at Lee Moore and asked again, you said you want to go abroad with Brother Chen. Lee Moore seemed to have a backbone, with her chest raised and her head raised with a bright smile. Yes, if you miss Brother Chen in the future, you can contact me and I will tell you some of his daily life. That's it, that's good. Ye Wei reacted indifferently and paid the money after scanning the barcode of the last information book. He talked to Gong Kin Lee about other things and didn't take Lee Moore's words to heart at all. Lee Moore was very dissatisfied with Ye Wei's seemingly nonchalant performance. She deliberately said it in front of Ye Wei because she knew that Yezikin had agreed to be admitted to the school, and the Lee family had also agreed to let her go abroad. The matter was a foregone conclusion, so she deliberately mentioned it in front of Ye just to see Ye be surprised, doubtful and sad. But why? Ye Wei's reaction was so indifferent. It must be intentional. Lee Moore clenched her fists, and the cashier reminded her to pay. Gong Kin Lee stood there laughing, this Lee Moore is so funny. What an idiot, you actually thought Brother Chen was going abroad. Don't she know it yet? Of course, apart from the principal, only Luo and I know about it. Hearing Gong Kin Lee's proud words, Ye Wei hugged the information in her hands and secretly swore, she must skip a grade. Ye Wei bought a lot of materials, which were piled up to at least 10 centimeters. From that day on, Ye Wei truly became a bookworm in the eyes of everyone. No matter where he went, he was never far from books. When Gong Kin Lee asked Ye Wei to go shopping for the 29th time, she brought back 2 more books. Over time, within just 2 months, Gong Kin Lee witnessed Ye Wei's desk being piled up with piles of materials from scattered study textbooks. Gong Kin Lee took a photo and posted it as a comment. She also spread it among her friends and commented, the only one is going crazy. Nangong Luo, who had set special care for Gongkin Li, heard the notification sound, clapped his legs and laughed, and replied under the comment, 666. I don't even understand. She can only jump to the third grade of junior high school if she skips a grade. Is it worth her efforts 365 days a year? It's not like we haven't seen each other for 3 to 5 years. The only time I saw Gongkin Li's comment and Nangong Luo's reply was when I was lying on the bed after washing up and getting ready to sleep. She replied with 2 words below without hesitation, it's worth it. In this world, Yezikin is the most important person to her. So, no matter how hard it is, she enjoys it. After the results of the monthly exam, Ye Wei made rapid progress like a dark horse breaking through the siege and entered the 30th place in the whole grade. Teachers and classmates were all shocked, but when thinking about Ye Wei's performance during this period, no one can deny that Ye Wei studied hard. In the second month, Ye Wei's ranking was stable at 30, with no progress or regression. In the third month, Ye Wei proposed to skip a grade. The school got in touch with Jiao Anyun, who was overseas. After her parents agreed to apply, Ye Wei took the grade-skipping exam. On the day when the results came out, she felt extremely nervous. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 198. Chapter 198, Failed the grade-skipping exam. Ye Wei mustered up the courage to ask, Teacher, how was my exam result? The serious teacher pushed up his black-rimmed glasses and told her seriously, Student Jiao Li, your exam is not ideal this time. Ye Wei's heartstrings tightened and he bit his lip, unable to speak. Gongkin Li and Nangong Luo both sent text messages asking for the results, but Yezikin did not. She saw the message and did not reply. She hesitated for a long time and had no choice but to tell them the result, I'm sorry, I failed. Yes, she failed the grade-skipping exam. When I went to the night bar to train in the afternoon, I fought against my senior brother and couldn't take any of his moves. What's going on? Just because you neglected to practice for the exam, you have forgotten everything you have learned before. Master Shirley slammed the table in anger. If this continues, you don't have to study anymore. Shirley is extremely strict when teaching, and she is unambiguous in her rebuke to every student who is not serious. Sherry is not so angry because she can't teach. If a person lacks talent and can practice hard to make up for it, then there is nothing to blame. The strange thing is that Ye Wei has been able to fight against the senior brother in more than 3 moves before, and can even attack the senior brother when he performs well. Now she has gone backwards, that's why Shirley is so angry. After Ye Wei realized his mistake, he apologized repeatedly, Master, I'm sorry, I will practice hard. Shirley didn't say a word. Ye Wei knew that the master was still angry, so he kept fighting with the senior brother. Seeing Ye Wei start to concentrate, Shirley's face improved a lot, and she prepared some tea for the two of them to rest. Ye Wei, who was originally absent-minded, turned her sorrow into strength, clenched her fists, and her voice filled the entire training room. Come again. Senior brother, continue. Ye Wei beat him harder and harder, and he actually used his dexterity to push his senior brother to the ground. Shirley was satisfied, with a smile on her face. But the senior brother who has been training all year round is a senior brother after all. He struggled to resist and almost broke Ye Wei's hand due to lack of control of his strength. Ouch, senior brother, let go. I'm sorry, little junior sister, I didn't control my strength well. Stop, stop, stop. Shirley waved her hands hurriedly, picked up the guy next to her and gave the elder brother a slap in the face. I'm still a little girl, you're not serious about bullying your master, write me 1,000 words of apology. Letter to Yui. Ye Wei witnessed with his own eyes a tall and strong 1.8-meter tall senior brother holding a paper and pen and admitting his mistake. She wanted to say no, but Master Shirley's decision was not allowed to be dismissed. Yi, today's training is over, your brother will be waiting for you outside. Huh, she didn't know Yezikin was coming. He came here an hour ago and didn't let me say anything. Master Shirley, you told me earlier, I'm leaving first, see you Master Shirley. Ye Wei quickly put away his backpack and rushed out. As soon as he walked out of the door, he was pressed against the wall. She subconsciously used her elbow to push her, and her arm was firmly held by someone. It's me. The familiar figure came from above, making Ye Wei shudder. Brother Chen. Ye Yezikin gently squeezed her arms and felt relieved when he didn't hear any discomfort from her. You just been watching me practice with senior brother. Do you know, I almost couldn't bear to rush in just now, but I'm very happy to see you grow. But, do you know that I failed the grade skipping exam? If it doesn't pass, what will Brother Chen do? Why didn't Brother Chen ask about it all day? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 199. Chapter 199. I wasn't there when you cried, how could I comfort you? I see. You know, Ye Wei was stunned. When did you know that I failed the exam? How could I miss your matter? As the two of them were walking on the road, Ye Wei suddenly turned around and asked, did Brother Nangong tell you about your matter? No, after your exam, the teacher from number 2 middle school has already taken a photo of the test paper and sent it to me. So, he knew her grade skipping exam results from the beginning and knew that she failed the exam. Ye Wei covered her head, feeling that she couldn't calm down. You haven't asked me today. I thought you didn't care. If I am not with you when I ask you, if I don't see you when you cry, how can I comfort you? The gentle voice is always so beautiful, and the gentle words and actions are perfect. Ye Wei lowered his head and slapped his face with a palm, feeling uncontrollable excitement in his heart. She had to admit that even breathing became difficult at that moment. How lucky she is to meet such a gentle person. And he pampers himself wholeheartedly. Did she save the galaxy in her previous life? It turned out that his voice was so magical. As long as he said those words, she could completely forget all the previous depression caused by failing the exam. Ye Wei clenched and unclenched his hands, gritted his teeth, raised his head excitedly and assured him, brother, don't worry, there are still a few months, I will never give up for you. Since then, Ye Wei has fallen into a new round of studying hard, and the battle has become even more intense than before. At the moment, no matter how Gong Qinli asks her to go out to play, she refuses to agree, and Zhengtai only reads books. That night while Zi was reading, Gong Qinli sat on the bedside eating potato chips. She also secretly took a photo with her head tilted and posted it on Weibo with the annotation, Zi is obsessed with it. Soon there was another row of likes and 666 replies. Nangong Luos is the most unique, my only sister is really the most perseverant person I have ever seen. I have to sigh, the boss's charm is infinite. Gong Qinli smiled happily as she read the likes and comments, but soon, Ye Wei also received a reply. Of course, it was Yezikin's personal call to reply. Tell her not to stay up late and go to bed quickly. Ye Wei responded cautiously. After hanging up the phone, he couldn't help but let out an ah sound and prolonged the sound. Luli, don't expose me, he turned to Gong Qinli and snorted heavily, then picked up the pen and continued writing. The stunned Gong Qinli raised her profile picture, and then silently clicked a few times on her phone. I was going to read it before I went to bed, and when I saw it, The replies between Nangong Luo and Gongkin Li filled the screen for several pages. Ye Wai Wei. It seems that I should exclude someone the next time I study. In this way, Ye Wai Wei ushered in the second grade skipping exam. Jiao Li, are you ready? The serious teacher waved the sealed test paper in front of her. Ye Wai Wei raised his chest and took a deep breath, with a glimmer of determination in his eyes. Teacher, I'm ready. The teacher pushed up her black-rimmed glasses and took apart the test paper and handed it to her. Ye Wai Wei, who was studying in the second grade of junior high school, looked at the questions from the third grade of junior high school and started writing furiously. If she fails the exam this time, she will lose the opportunity to skip a grade in junior high school, and it will be even more rare in high school. So, success or failure depends on this. Take a deep breath. Success or failure depends on this. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 200. Chapter 200. The 3-year agreement. Ye Wai Wei felt even more nervous than before and once again mustered up the courage to go to the office. Teacher, what are the results of my exam? The serious teacher pushed up his black-rimmed glasses and said exactly the same thing as before. Classmate Jiao Li, your exam is not ideal this time. The only thing that seemed to happen in the night was that the ball suddenly deflated. As expected, it still doesn't work. She has tried hard, but in the end she failed. She just wanted to get closer to the person she liked, but she couldn't do it. How useless. Blinking, he forced back the tears that were about to burst out. He lowered his head and did not dare to look at the teacher for fear that he would burst into tears. I'm sorry for disturbing the teacher. Just when Ye Wai Wei turned around and was about to leave, the teacher rolled his eyes and called out quickly, Hey, student Jiao, don't leave yet, the follow-up matters haven't been dealt with yet. Ye Wai Wei turned his back to the teacher and quickly wiped the wet corners of his eyes, sniffed, and faced the teacher pretending to be calm. At this time, the teacher handed over several pieces of A4 paper stapled together. This is about the procedures for skipping a grade. Take it back and jump for a while. Hand it over as soon as possible. We will immediately arrange for you to be transferred to the third grade class. The serious teacher handed over the thing and showed a rare smile. Congratulations, classmate Jiao. Ye Wai Wei took the things and thanked her profusely. This time he couldn't help but shed tears. Unlike before when he felt wronged, this time he cried with joy. She hurriedly took out her mobile phone and accidentally bumped into someone passing by. Ye Wai Wei lowered his head to pick up something. The other hand covered in a black sweater was faster than hers, lowered and then raised, and handed the thing to her. Thank you, Ye Wai Wei thanked him repeatedly. When he looked up, he saw Su Yuchen, whom he hadn't seen for a long time. Ye Wei was stunned. Just when she didn't know how to speak, Su Yuchen glanced at the A4 paper, then stuffed the thing into Ye Wei's palm and said lightly, Congratulations. Ye Wai Wei, who was in a good mood, put aside the previous embarrassment and thanked Su Yuchen excitedly with a twice. We will be at the same level from now on. Ye Wai Wei grabbed the things and ran away from Su Yuchen, taking away a gust of cool wind. Su Yuchen tilted his head and scratched the void with his fingers. Even he found it funny. I passed the exam. I successfully skipped a grade. Ye Wai Wei spread the good news to the group, and Gongkin Li called her and screamed into her ear, Ye Wei, you are so great. Ye Wai Wei covered her ears, thinking that if Gongkin Li was around at this moment, not only her ears would suffer, but her neck would also be strangled. She couldn't control her active heart, jumping up and down on the square floor tiles, and finally waited for Yezikin's call. I've finally waited for you, brother, where are you now? Yezikin said, look back. Ye Wai Wei turned around with a big smile on his face, brother, I passed the exam. I can skip a grade. She reached out to Yezikin excitedly, brother, hug me. The man lifted her up easily and skillfully, making her taller than him. Yewai waved the paper in his hand and proudly made a promise. Yezikin, wait for me at the university in 3 years, I will definitely be admitted to your university and become your direct school girl. Yezikin raised his head, his charming eyes seemed to scatter dazzling starlight. Good. Always here, waiting for you to grow up. End of this chapter.